Your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A prominent Tasmanian photographer says he's shocked and saddened by an arson attack which has left his studio in ruins. It's the second time the artist has been targeted in recent weeks.
The studio of photographer Owen Hughes is now a blackened wreck.
Glass everywhere, haven't done anything about cleaning it up yet.
He's in shock at what he describes as senseless destruction.
I've been here for 50 years, never had any trouble. Never had an argument with anybody that I can remember.
His sanctuary's peace was broken in wild fashion when an accelerant was used to torch his car and studio. The intense fire blew out windows, melted the laser light awning and nearly claimed the home as well. His studio had become the subject of a snap. Thick plumes of smoke from the white-hot blaze were captured when the fire was at its peak. Owen says he feels like he's being targeted and doesn't know why.
I'm friendly with all the neighbours, so I've got no idea.
It isn't the first time he's been under attack.
Another window was broken out in the front of the house about 6 weeks ago, and we had that repaired last week, and now this has happened.
Police say they've had no developments in the case, leaving the renowned snapper unsure of what will happen next.
It's still really stressful. You don't really know what to think, or if you had something to go by, it'd be very helpful.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
A 17-year-old boy has appeared in court after allegedly pushing a victim to the ground and stealing their backpack in Launceston. Tasmania Police says the alleged robbery happened in Civic Square at around 9:15 last night. It's understood the victim received minor injuries from the incident. A man has been hospitalised after allegedly being attacked with a tomahawk. Police say they were called to a home on Cook Crescent in Mayfield just before 4 o'clock this morning. The 30-year-old man was taken to hospital for surgery after sustaining serious but non-life-threatening injuries. He's now in a stable condition. Police say the pair is known to each other and anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. It's been more than a month since the peak of the fire threat to the Geveston community, and some members are still trying to find their feet. One local business owner says she's struggling to rebuild her business since the fire tore through nearby bushland.
Displaying products made by hand and grown here, this farmgate shop in the GLEN HUON has had no visitors for more than a month, and the business is struggling.
Because we used to get probably a couple $1,000s a month from our farm gate shop, and because our road was closed, of course nobody could come to us.
This is peak period, and although the road is now open, it's still smoky, and the lack of visitation is taking a huge financial toll.
$300 or $400 in January, and in February I had $0.
Mentally, it's a burden too. Lisa is trying to access grants, but says the process is proving to be difficult.
The Huon Valley is full of lots of small businesses that work from home, and we just feel like we're not getting the support that the bricks and mortar businesses are getting. And
Lisa, one of the residents trying to seek answers at this meeting run by the Labor Party in Geveston today.
We wanted to hear from the community about what had worked well and the feedback they have about what didn't work well and how government should be responding in the future.
We have got support services down there working with the community to ensure that in both the immediate term they are supported, but also in the longer term.
This business on the main road, however, is doing well, despite the constant smoke and presence of ground and air authorities.
Still that surreal state of we've got a bushfire burning all around us, but we're still sort of trying to do life as we should be doing.
Michelle says the Tasmanian community has rallied to support the area.
And it's been wonderful having people from Hobart and other parts of Tasmania who've deliberately come just to say hello and just to buy a meal.
The community will host a food market on Thursday evening as a thank you for the firefighters who have and still are fighting to protect the area and its residents. Louise, HEDGER, 7 Tasmania News.
The findings of an investigation into the drowning of a Tasmanian teenager have been handed down. 14-year-old Georgia Amy Lutaz died in the Royal Hobart Hospital on December 17, 2017, after failing to regain consciousness following an incident at the Devonport Bluff on December 11. The report listed she died as a result of a global hypoxic brain injury. Coroner Olivia McTaggart said she was satisfied the water was very rough at the time of the incident and that Georgia may have also suffered cold water shock. The coroner also recommended the Devonport City Council and Surf Lifesaving Tasmania regularly review and update the coastal risk assessment and treatment plan for the Bluff headland. The government has announced it will stop a long-running search for an alternative southern port to export timber after a new report found there were no viable options. The Hobart port will now remain open and timber residue destined to be made into wood chips will keep being transported to the north for processing. $2 million will now be spent making it easier to move forestry freight across the state by train and trucks, including upgrades to the rail network.
We understand that long-term access for this port is absolutely critical for investment in the southern forests, and we want to ensure that the producers in the southern forests have access to this port for the future.
Industry always looks for certainty, in particular with long-term export arrangements. Overseas customers are always looking for surety, so to have this announcement today really assists us.
The news comes 8 years after the controversial closure of the previous Triabunna wood chip mill. They're a much-loved party favourite, but confronting new research has found balloons are a death sentence for our precious seabirds. Headed up by Tasmanian researchers, the damning study revealed balloons are 32 times more likely to kill than more common hard plastics.
Determining whether this was a case of death by plastic. Shocking new Tasmanian research finding balloons were the #1 most deadly plastic for seabirds.
We had instances where a bird had just one piece of plastic or just one balloon in it, causing a blockage, just the wrong place at the wrong time, and had died from such a small little thing.
It's long been known hard plastics pose a mortal threat to sea life, but soft plastics such as balloons have been revealed to be 32 times more likely to kill.
Even though balloons were only 2% of all of the items that we found eaten by birds, they contributed about 40% of the deaths, so they were disproportionately deadly.
Even in the middle of the ocean, balloons have been spotted, birds often mistaking them for food.
A balloon or a piece of soft plastic, it can compact and it can get stuck in some of the very small little junctures in the bird's digestive tract.
It provides quite a wake-up call for us in terms of what the impacts of some of the things that we use often unthinkingly, what the impacts those items can have on wildlife.
After examining more than 1,700 seabirds from 51 species, researchers have been left with a simple warning.
If you're at a party, pop the balloons and put them in the bin before you leave.
Michelle Wisbey, 7 Tasmania News.
Shop fronts have been badly damaged after a multiple car crash in Launceston CBD. A Toyota hatchback ran off the road and into windows on Charles Street at around 4 o'clock this afternoon, while the front of a blue hatchback was also damaged. The road was blocked for around an hour while police and emergency services cleared the scene. Hobart commuters faced serious traffic hold-ups this morning, with some experiencing more than an hour's delay. Congestion was backed up from the CBD through to Sorell during the peak hour. The government says it's working to address the issue with the Hobart City Deal traffic plan. A shocking new report has revealed Tasmania has the highest youth unemployment rate in the nation. The rate for young people living across the state now sitting at more than 15%, significantly higher than the national average. The southeast, spanning from Swansea to Huonville, was singled out as a particularly concerning region, with the rate soaring to almost 18%.
This is why we have commitments around continuing schools through to 11 Year 12, and this is also why the government is investing to get young people involved in apprenticeships, because we understand the importance for both the young person and their communities.
The Brotherhood of St Lawrence survey finding more than 6,000 young people unemployed in Tasmania in December last year. There are 36,000 small businesses in Tasmania, and according to the government, they are now all better off. Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg joining Acting Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe in Launceston today to announce $6.4 million to support small business investment.
Which will ensure that the red tape that is currently there is there no longer. So for example, if you're a small business and you're applying for a building approval, you won't need to go through separate applications for environment approvals, food safety approvals, heritage approvals. You'll be able to do it all on one portal.
The small business funding is part of the federal government's $300 million regulatory reform package. She was one of the first Indigenous women to dominate the tennis world, rising to #1 in the 1970s. And now Yvonne Goolagong is using her sport as a way to encourage children to stay in school. Today, teaching skills to 80 young Indigenous Tasmanians and sharing her story of success.
An Australian tennis pro, surrounded by her biggest fans. Former world #1 player Yvonne Goolagong sharing her words of wisdom with these Indigenous players and pushing the power of the sport.
And it's about keeping the kids in schools. Education is the key point here.
The Wimbledon champion, kick-starting the first come and try day of the year at CYGNET Tennis Club.
Oh, it's fantastic for the club because it gives a lot of new children an opportunity and an introduction to tennis, and also to learn about Yvonne's history and what she does.
My first dream was to win Wimbledon. I'm living my second dream. I'm doing it now, working with Indigenous kids all around Australia.
Her foundation giving Indigenous children an opportunity to go further in life.
We've given out, I think, 67 scholarships to different schools all around Australia, 17 going to uni. We had our first 2 doctors recently. We've got lawyers.
With her humble beginnings serving as inspiration.
I learned how to do all the basic shots and how she learnt how to play this game by using an apple crate, just hitting against the wall in the backyard, and then you look where she is now and she's a legend.
Hopefully they're listening and thinking, well, you know, if I can achieve my dream, maybe they can too. And I honestly believe that if they stay in school, they'll find their dreams. And they do come true.
Ruby COMMANE, 7 Tasmania News.
You're about to meet a man whose passion for steam traction engines has seen him take to the state's roads. Joseph Phillips and Annie are on their way to Sheffield, where they'll take part in this weekend's iconic STEMFEST.
It's not every day you see a steam traction engine rolling down a main street. But in this case, it's for a good cause.
One doesn't see too many steam engines on public roads, and everyone who passes it is going to read that sign that says STEMFEST Long Weekend at Sheffield.
Annie is on a road run from Wynyard to Sheffield, driven by Joseph Phillips. They'll join thousands for this weekend's 25th annual STEMFEST. And despite the slow form of transport, Joe's loving every minute of the journey.
Yeah, over the 2 days, we're not out to break any records or anything. It's been pretty good. The people bipping the horns and stuff. And, yeah, it's great.
Annie will be among hundreds of vintage steam-powered machines on display for young and old to admire. Those behind the tribute say it's a true labour of love.
The father-in-law restored it, one of about 10 or 11 he's restored, and yeah, he's just mad with it. Yeah.
Annie is 108 years old and travels at an average of 5 kilometres an hour, meaning the next 2 days will be spent getting her from here to Sheffield.
There are more exhibits this time than ever in the past, and with a very promising outlook for the weather. Not too hot, not too cold.
STEMFEST will take over the state's town of Murals from March 9 until 11. Jessie Gilmour, 7 Tasmania News.
The transformation of Devonport's waterfront precinct is well and truly in full swing as part of the region's Living City deal. The construction of the area, including a multi-million-dollar waterfront hotel, is being carried out by Fairbrother. The project is expected to be completed by the end of 2020.
Well, it's official. Tasmanian horse Mystic Journey will race in the All-Star Mile after receiving a wildcard entry today. The filly is among 14 runners for Saturday's $5.5 million race at Flemington, the world's richest mile race. Mystic Journey was one of 3 wildcard entrants, with 4-time Group 1 winner Hartnell and Lindsay Park rising star Hawkshot also included.
Established stars, emerging 3-year-olds, and then you have this eclectic group of horses from around the nation that have been voted into the top 10.
Jockey Anthony Darmanin will be eligible to ride Mystic Journey at the All-Star Mile, despite copping an 8-day suspension for whipping the filly 8 times more than permitted prior to the final 100 metres in the Australian Guineas.
Good evening. The clear skies last night had highland temperatures going shunk. LAUNCESTON down to just 1, but tops today up to 7 above average. Hobart 26, Launceston and Burnie 27, Devonport 23, 29 the high at HUGHES, Campania recorded 28, LAUNCESTON eventually warmed right up to 25 this afternoon, St Helens, Friendly Beaches and Smithton 24, Low Head and Flinders Island 23, King Island 21, Strahan 19. Some low clouds streamed over the west coast today in the northerly flow. Patchy high-level cloud moved over the eastern parts of the state. A frontal band is over the Bight to our west. A narrow cloud band with thunderstorms stretches from northwest Victoria through East Gippsland to the Tasman Sea. Onshore winds brought cloud to the east coast of the nation, and the interior of Western Australia has middle to high cloud. Tomorrow the cold front moves closer to the state, with a trough extending from our northeast back towards WA. The high weakens over eastern Australia. The winds west-northwesterly at 10 to 20 knots, becoming north-northwesterly at 25 knots in the afternoon, ahead of a further shift to the southwest tomorrow night, swells to 3 metres in southern waters. A strong wind warning is on from Sandy Cape to the top of Flinders Island, and in the east from St Helens Point to South East Cape. Tuesday in Hobart, 25 and late showers moving in with the front. 23 for Adventure Bay, becoming windy with a shower. Showers increasing for Tarraleah, 21 the high. Launceston, a possible late shower, 25 before that. 22 for Devonport, a shower or 2 for Bridport and 22 as well. Burnie, a shower, 22 the top, 20 for Strahan and Marrawar, with showers increasing over the west. 25 for St Helens, a bit of cloud about, 25 also for Swansea, 23 white mark on Flinders with a shower. There's the UV, very high for most, but high 7s for Hobart and Swansea. Now to the next few days. Wednesday, a few showers contracting to the west, far south and northeast, snow above 900 metres. Fine and partly cloudy on Thursday apart from an early shower over the west, and on Friday showers over the west and south extending to central and eastern areas in the afternoon. Mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow, a shower along with a cooler day for Adelaide, showers with a possible storm in Melbourne 25, sunny in Sydney and a shower for Brisbane. And a little cloud around at the moment. Hobart 19 degrees, 23 in Launceston and currently 22 in Devonport. Not a bad sort of night for this time of year, Jo.
It's not bad at all, is it, Murph? Thank you very much. Lovely to see you. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. I'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.